Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. We have a great show for you today. First, why is this the first time that I'm hearing about this brutal killing? That's right, Crime Talk goes international. The Boulder, Colorado King Soopers mass killer purportedly says this is fun, according to witnesses. Donna Adelson prepares for trial. Justin Timberlake appears in court and pleads guilty and then does his walk of shame. What is up with female teachers these days? Can't they find someone their own age? It's a little weird. This day in legal history and our dumb criminal of the day. Let's talk about it.
Hi, lawyer.
Good day, everyone. You know the drill. Subscribe if you haven't, like if you do, leave me a comment below, and make sure you hit that bell for notifications. And yes, you can listen to us on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Now, let's pay a few bills before we go and hit the docket. First, go to CrimeTalkSearch.com. Sign up for that background subscription service today. You'll be happy you did. And guess what? You can cancel it anytime. But while you have that subscription, you can do a background search on as many people as your little heart desires here in the United States. It is literally done while you wait. A report is sent to you, and it's going to have all types of background information as to where somebody lives, what property they own, what vehicles they drive, whether they have a criminal history, are they on a public registry of some type, are they married, are they divorced, do they have judgments of millions of dollars against them. Go check someone out. Go check out the people that are coming into your life. Go to CrimeTalkSearch.com. You'll be happy you did. All right, let's go ahead and open the record for September 13th, 2024. First on the docket, like I said, why am I just finding out about this brutal killing? Okay, listen to some of these facts. This is crazy. Clearly, the guy has some mental health issues. It took place in Europe. So I'm sure they're going to put him up in a nice, beautiful penthouse. And once they fix him, he'll be released immediately. Here, United States, not so much. But these facts are crazy. A Swiss man, allegedly, well, we know he did it, killed his ex-model wife, decapitating her, and then chopping her womb out before using a blender to puree some of her body parts. Yes, I said that correctly. That's right. The man, he's 41 years old, and he was named in the local media by a pseudonym of Thomas due to Swiss privacy laws, but he admitted to killing Christina Joksimovic, common spelling, Joksimovic, whose body was ravaged and found in their home near Basel, Basel, back in February of this year. Now, the autopsy report shows that the former Miss Switzerland contestant was not only decapitated when her husband dismembered her body with a jigsaw, a knife, and some garden shears. He also carefully removed her womb, which was the only organ cut out of her torso, and this deliberate mutilation was ritualized degradation of the body and is believed to indicate that Thomas has a mental disorder, according to police records. Now, some of the wife's body parts were forced into a powerful industrial blender in which he pureed them, as well as dissolved some of the body parts in a chemical solution. Now, investigators found that while cutting up the mother of two's body, Thomas watched YouTube videos on his phone. I wonder if he was watching Crime Talk. I bet he didn't take his phone. Well, he took his phone, didn't he? Jeez, he learns nothing. Anyway, the autopsy found that Christina's cause of death was strangulation, with her neck showing a reddish throttle mark. Her body showed signs of blunt force trauma suffered prior to her death, with Christina having cuts on her cheek, under her eyebrow, and nose, as well as several bruises on her right lower leg, foot, shoulder blades, and on the back of her head. But a closer examination revealed that Christina's head had wounds indicating that some of her hair had actually been ripped out. The experts who analyzed the dismemberment of her body said that Thomas used a jigsaw, a knife, and a pair of garden shears to dismember his wife, Christina, before either throwing various body parts into the industrial blender or dissolving them in the chemical solution that I noted. Investigators found a large number of skin flaps, some with attached muscles, as well as a large number of pieces of muscle, some with attached pieces of bone. Now, the autopsy further revealed that before Thomas dismembered his wife, he broke Christina's hip joints out of their sockets and went on to discartilization, which is the removal of bone from its joint, like an amputation, with her leg, upper arm, forearm, and right lower leg. He then roughly severed Christina's upper spine to decapitate her and further split her torso in half above her pelvis. The medical experts assumed the autopsy report that the disposal of Christina's body was the goal of Thomas's actions, which include hiding her phone on a delivery truck. Now, the court noted that Thomas, like I said, whose name was redacted due to these Swiss privacy laws, had refused to give them access to his phone, which investigators say is encrypted and could actually lead to more evidence. Now, the Swiss federal court, therefore, necessarily environmental investigations have not yet been carried out, which has said it means that there is still considerable risk of collusion. Describing what happened before the killing, Thomas said that the couple had a positive conversation before Christina suddenly attacking him with a knife. He had previously claimed that he found his wife dead by the stairs in the family home, but later said he strangled her in self-defense against the alleged knife attack. He also admitted that, he did in fact dismember her in the laundry room in a panic and then pureed her with the industrial blender that just coincidentally happened to be there near the basement. But the court said the autopsy report clearly contradicted Thomas's self-defense and panic reaction claims, as his planned and systematic approach over several hours in dismembering and disposing of the body of his wife, obviously because they were using special tools and chemicals, and in destroying manipulation traces as well as injuries to the victim's body, completely goes against his story. Now, the signs of deliberate mutilation or ritualized degradation of the body, in part referring to the careful removal of Christina's womb, there were also indications that Thomas possibly had a mental disorder, you think? His behavior on the day of Christina's killing indicates that Thomas is extremely violent, particularly toward his respective life partner, you think? Sometimes with the sadistic sociopathic traits. It's also revealed a low-level frustration tolerance and poor impulse control, and an increasing escalation of violence, according to the reports submitted to the court. Now, the court also heard how Thomas' former partner told the prosecutors that he used massive violence against her on several occasions, going as far back as April of 2016, just a little before the year before they were married. It's alleged that he drove Christina over. It's alleged that he drove over Christina's foot with his car during one frequent fit of rage after the couple visited her parents, and also threatened to throw her out of the vehicle on the drive home. Gee, I didn't see any of this coming at all. Could you? Anyway, another time during a car ride, she said that he slammed on the brakes, causing her to smash her head into the dashboard. Now, Thomas, who used to live in Bern at the time, also allegedly grabbed his then partner by the neck and pushed her against a wall. It's also alleged that sometimes he lost control during arguments, which caused him to hit or strangle her. Now, the woman also claims that she knew that the behavior had been a problem, and the violence and even sexual matters in his previous relationships. Thomas apparently continued this pattern of violence with Christina until the police were called at one point in July of 2023. Now, pictures from the incident reportedly show the strangulation marks of Christina's neck, which was corroborated by witness statements and police reports. The pair is also said to have had a happy relationship until Thomas, who is the son of a well-known lawyer from Bern, launched his own business consulting firm back in 2022. Thomas' temperament quickly changed the couple's picture-perfect relationship, and it started crumbling, according to friends of Christina. A source close to Christina has revealed that a possible motive for the killing was the mother of two's planning to leave the businessman as a partner. She wanted to break up, but was afraid of him, according to the source. The heinous attacks came just weeks after Christina posted images of a very ideal The attack came just weeks after Christina posted images of a very happy couple on their getaway at Lake Lucerne on social media. Meanwhile, the partner of one of Christina's friends has stated that the relationship had been in crisis for months, adding that the police were called to the house over reports of physical violence. Thomas claimed that he felt like he was getting into a tunnel due to his fear of losing his children, house, and company. Blame it all on stress, apparently, is what he said at one point, and he needs to work on his control mechanisms. Wow, you think? Anyway, the court did find that Thomas was obviously struck in the completely unrealistic idea of living again in the near future with his daughters, whose mother he admittedly killed and dismembered. Yeah, not going to be with those kids. Anyway, the court stated that there are concrete indications of mental illness or a significant psychological personality disorder in Thomas's case, paired with a high level of criminal energy and a lack of empathy and cold-bloodedness after the killing of his wife. So the psychiatric forensic expert consulted by the court at the head of the proceedings said that further examinations were required to make a sufficiently substantiated assessment of Thomas. Now, Thomas, being the sociopath that he is going to appeal to a higher court for release from custody because that was rejected by the Swiss court after his previous requests to be released had been denied. He'd asked for release from custody pending trial against a payment of an appropriate bail and in order to block documents offering to be placed on the record, but denied. And even asked for electronic home monitoring, which was denied. Anyway, the Thomas, a Swiss national from a wealthy family, was reportedly arrested shortly after Christina's remains were found by a third party on February 13th. He and Christina bought a semi-detached house in a very affluent neighborhood just outside of Basel, B-A-S-E-L, with streets lined with mansions and upscale new builds overlooking the valley. Now, the couple had got married in 2017, and they lived in the home with their two young daughters and Christina's mother. Just 4 weeks before she was killed, Christina had posted pictures of the couple's getaway on her Instagram account, showing the snowy landscape from the window of a luxurious hotel above Lake Lucerne. To me, they seem like the perfect couple, a friend said. Clearly, not everything is perfect. There's a reason why they call it fake book for a reason, right? Anyway, Christina had switched from modeling to becoming a catwalk coach, inspiring the next generations of Miss Switzerland candidates. She also trained businesswomen to walk confidently in their professional or private lives. In her previous career, she won the Miss Northwest Switzerland pageant in 2003 and was a finalist in the 2007 Miss Switzerland competition. The same year, she founded a coaching and consulting agency for aspiring models while working full-time in IT recruitment and apparently helping people how to walk confidently. Apparently, she didn't make those boots for walking because she got killed. Unbelievable. Chopping up people, man. And watching videos, too. I'd be curious to wonder what he was watching at the time. Next, let's talk about the Boulder mass killer who was reportedly saying this is fun while he was going through the King Soopers. I don't know if you all remember this. I do, because frankly, it's not that far away. I knew people that were literally outside the store when this took place. And it goes back to 2021. So up here in Boulder, Colorado, about, 15 miles from the office here. Back in 2021, a shooter there at the King Superstore in Boulder took place, killing 10 people. And witnesses are testifying in court as to the demeanor of the gunman, Ahmad al-Alali Alyssa. Now, the pharmacist who was working in the store at the time, a woman by the name of Sarah Chen, said that she heard the comments while hiding from Alyssa alongside her coworker. He was screaming, "This is fun, this is fun." Well, Mr. Alyssa's trial began last week and is expected to go until the end of the month. Nobody, including his lawyers, have disputed that Alyssa was, in fact, the shooter. Mr. Alyssa has pled not guilty by reason of insanity in the shooting. And after his arrest, Mr. Alyssa was diagnosed with treatment-resistant schizophrenia. Now, his attorney said he had hallucinations that included hearing screaming voices, seeing people who weren't there, and believing he was being followed. Now, the defense has argued that he should be found not guilty because he was not able to tell the difference between right and wrong at the time of the shooting. Now, he is charged with 10 counts of first-degree murder, multiple counts of attempted murder, and other offenses, including having 6 high-capacity ammunition magazines devices, which are apparently banned in Colorado during the shooting. Now, Alyssa allegedly began firing outside of the grocery store, shooting at least one person in the parking lot before moving inside. Employees and customers scrambled to escape the shooting, leaving through the loading docks in the back while others sheltered in place in the store. Investigators say that Mr. Alyssa researched how to carry out the mass shooting before he launched his own attack. They also say he targeted moving people, killing most of the 10 victims in just over a minute. Now, the victims have all been identified as Denny Strong, Naveen Stanisic, Ricky Olds, Suzanne Fountain, Terry Leiker, Eric Talley, Kevin Mahoney, Lynn Murray, Jody Waters, and Trelona Barkowak. Talley was a police officer who recently changed job to work more away from the front line when he was murdered that day. He was also the father of 7. Now, last October, the judge ruled that Mr. Alyssa was fit to stand trial, and so now the case is proceeding. Obviously, you can't have somebody go to trial who is not competent. So they sent him off to the state hospital for several years, got him restored to competency, so we can come to court and possibly see if the jury says he knew what he was doing or was he not guilty by reason of insanity. Now, rest assured, if he's found not guilty by reason of insanity, that just means you go to the mental hospital up until the time that you could be sentenced for the maximum penalty in that case. So that would be basically life in prison. Prosecutors obviously don't believe that that is the result, or at least they want to make it look like that the guy was competent, so that they can maybe send him to the Department of Corrections. It seems like he was probably insane, and therefore he should probably go to the mental hospital. Anyway, the judge on the case, Judge Ingrid Baki, who I know, she's a very, very tough district attorney back in the day. In fact, she was sent from Boulder years ago to work on the Kobe Bryant case up in Eagle County years ago. And she's been tough on the bench as well. I had one particular trial with her. It was a knockdown, drag out type of case, but now she's a judge. Anyway, in that ruling, Judge Baki said that she was convinced that following the forced medication of Mr. Alyssa, that he had far improved capacity to elucidate his reasoning and decision-making. Therefore, bring on the trial. Speaking of trials, Donna Adelson, she's preparing for trial. Now, Donna Adelson appeared in court today for a final pretrial preparation hearing ahead of her murder trial, which begins next week. I think we're going to bring you this trial. Now, Miss Adelson is accused of conspiring with her son, Charlie Adelson, in the murder for hire plot that killed her ex-son-in-law, Dan Markle. Now, prior to addressing a series of pretrial motions, the judge asked the prosecution whether the prosecution had extended a final plea offer in the case. The assistant state attorney said, quote, "The state is ready for trial, and we will not offer Donna a plea agreement." And the defense attorney heard that on behalf of Miss Adelson and told the judge that he would not be making a counteroffer to the state, and that Donna stood ready for trial. And she also was asked to state under oath that she did not wish to make a counteroffer. I love clients like that. I love clients that are like, let's go do this thing. Let's rumble. It's going to be good. I think she's going to go down in flames, but I think it's going to be good. Anyway, Donna is the fifth person to face charges in Markle's murder. Hitman Luis Rivera took a plea back in 2016 and is serving a 19-year sentence. The other hitman, Sigfredo Garcia, was convicted in 2019. Garcia fired the gun, shooting Markle in the head twice. Catherine Magbuna, who was the link between the Adelsons and the hitmen, was convicted in 2022. And finally, Donna's periodontist son, Charlie Adelson, was convicted last year. Now, Magbuna was Charlie's ex-girlfriend. All right, now Magbuna and Rivera, who are both cooperating witnesses in the case against Donna, were transferred to the jail, so they're getting her ready to testify. And Charlie, who is listed as a witness for the prosecution, is expected to be transferred to the local jail as well. Still think he has some Fifth Amendment issues because, well, he lost a trial and there is an appeal pending. So it'll be curious to see if maybe the prosecution grants him immunity. We'll have to wait and see. Could be exciting. Tune in. Jury selection is set to begin next Tuesday, September 17th. Once the trial starts, we'll have it all for you. Next, Justin Timberlake gets his plea deal, but he had to do the walk of shame. That's right. Justin Timberlake, who had been facing the charges of driving while intoxicated, pled guilty to a reduced violation of driving while ability impaired. Now, the plea leaves Mr. Timberlake free of a criminal record, which he would have had if he was convicted of the original charge. As part of the plea deal, he agreed to pay the maximum fine of $500. I wonder if he can pay it. There was also some court costs and the surcharge of another $260, so $760. I think he can pay it. Additionally, he committed to making a public service statement about the dangers of drunk driving. Initially, the judge expressed a little dissatisfaction with the proposed statement, preferring a public service announcement. However, the judge ultimately agreed to the deal under a few conditions. Now, a major component of the plea deal by Mr. Timberlake and his attorney and the prosecutors was that after entering his plea, he would give a public statement about the dangers of drinking and driving. Now, to make that public statement, Mr. Timberlake and his attorneys walked out of the courthouse through the pedestrian bridge that connected the courthouse to the police headquarters, the same bridge that he did his perp walk in when he was arrested. Anyway, at the police headquarters, there was a little microphone and everything set up, and Mr. Timberlake addressed the media, speaking about the dangers of drunk driving. I could have told you that, but nobody ever listens to the attorney. But maybe they'll listen to Justin Timberlake. Don't drink and drive, ladies and gentlemen. It's so preventable. Don't do it. I'm telling you, don't do it. It's expensive. You could kill somebody, go to prison, affect so many lives. Just don't do it. Anyway, the court approved the minimum number of community service hours that Mr. Timberlake would have to do at the charity of his choice. I knew Mr. Timberlake was going to get the DWAI. That's just the way it is. Pretty standard. Not really special treatment, but hey, he probably got a few breaks. Let's face it. First offense, no test result because he refused, lost his license. Standard offer in just about any jurisdiction that I've ever been to would be plead guilty to DWAI first. Just don't get a second one, Mr. Timberlake. We're watching you. Next, what is up with teachers these days? Can't they find somebody their own age? I don't get it. Two stories here. A Missouri math teacher is more than likely headed to prison after admitting last week that she had sex with a 16-year-old student while other students served as lookout. And the boy's dad faces felony charges for condoning the relationship. Now, Haley Clifton Carmack, this woman is 26 years old, ladies and gentlemen, was arrested back in January. We talked about this after a student reported their illicit relationship to a school resource officer, then showed police photos of the scratches that the teacher left on the victim's back. Well, on Friday, she pled guilty to sexual contact with a student, a charge that could take her to prison for the next 4 years. The plea deal lets her avoid another serious charge of statutory rape, child molestation, and child endangerment. Now, the teacher will remain on house arrest until her sentencing on October 11th. Now, the boy's dad, a guy by the name of Mark Creighton, has also been charged with endangering the welfare of a child since he allegedly knew about the affair with his son and the teacher, but didn't tell anybody about it. He's probably one of those dads. I don't know whether to do. Shake his hand. Do I ground him? I don't know. Good go, son. I mean, really? I don't know. That's just wrong. Anyway, but that case is on hold until Miss Clifton Carmack's sentencing there in Missouri. Now, the math teacher, a divorced mother of two, has gotten into trouble before with the school officials for getting a little too close to students. I know, but she just cares. She cares for her students. She likes to make sure that they're really understanding what's taking place. Anyway, Miss Clifton Carmack denied the relationship when the detectives arrested her back in December of 2023, but police confiscated her phone, and guess what they found? That's right. Text messages with the boy. Little risque. Anyway, she also tried to flee the jurisdiction right before Christmas, heading to Texas, but her roommate tipped everybody off and said, I think she's moving permanently and has no plans of coming back. Anyway, she was arrested in Texas and brought back to face charges. Like I said, the dad knew about the relationship and didn't report it. He also knew that his son and the teacher used students to serve as lookouts, particularly when they were having sex during school hours. She could be a dumb criminal of the day. Like, who would she think? Why would she think that somebody was going to keep their mouth shut? Oh my God, that rumor is just too good. It would have to spread. I don't get it. Anyway, like I said, the dad knew of the relationship with his minor child and the 26-year-old teacher. And instead of doing it, he just gave him high fives. No, he didn't, but he didn't tell anybody. But you know what I'm saying. Anyway, he the dad also reportedly told a witness he would lie for his son if he had to. Now, let's move on to another teacher. Let's go to Wisconsin. A disgraced Wisconsin teacher there is accused of sexually assaulting her 11-year-old student. Yep, that's right. Anyway, she went to a preliminary hearing arguing that the cases should be thrown out because the preteen boy's text messages weren't specific enough about how the teacher had touched him. Unfortunately for the teacher, the judge disagreed. For old Madison Bergman, who, like I said, got arrested for making out with her 5th grader weeks before her wedding. Well, now the judges found there's sufficient evidence. Charges are going to go forward that include first-degree child sexual assault, child enticement, and sexual misconduct by a school staff member. Now, text messages between the 15-year-old and the teacher emerged in court, in which the 24-year-old teacher, an elementary school teacher, I might note, allegedly said she wanted to lick the boy's abs and that she enjoyed touching his chest. Now, she cried as she took the stand during the hearing in her own defense on the motion to dismiss. The attorney for Ms. Bergman read from the text messages with the alleged victim and argued that her behavior did not rise to the level of sexual assault because the boy used the word chest in describing their physical contact. Now, the basis of the motion is that there's not probable cause in the complaint, is what the court noted, and that the area of sexual contact or of intimate part is not described specifically enough, because under the Wisconsin statute, there has to be touching of an intimate part in order for there to be sexual conduct. What are those parts? The breast, the buttocks, the anus, the groin, the scrotum, the penis, vagina, or pubic mound of a human being? The statute does not say if the chest or the chest area. Well, the court noted that in one text, the 11-year-old allegedly wrote, "You were touching my chest a lot." He argued that the word chest was not enough to amount to sexual assault. The judge said it would be absurd to require a child to use the same language that the state legislature chose in drafting the statute. And then the judge read a few more texts. May I quote? "I love having my hand on your chest. I could feel your heart beating so much. Ha ha ha," Ms. Bergman wrote. The boy allegedly replied, "Ha ha, it was beating so fast. I was so surprised and I loved it because you just kept kissing me." The judge ruled that the word chest does not mean that the boy wasn't assaulted. Now, a former 5th grade teacher at the Rivercrest Elementary School was originally charged with the first-degree sexual assault of a child, and last month she was slapped with 9 additional felonies, 1 count of using a computer to facilitate a child sex crime, 5 charges of sexual misconduct by school staff, 2 charges of child enticement, causing mental or bodily harm, and a charge of exposing a child to harmful materials. According to the complaint, Ms. Bergman allegedly abused the 11-year-old boy, and it all came to light when the student's mother overheard her son talking to the teacher on the phone. Suspicious, the parents checked the boy's phone and found the text messages between the text messages describe multiple encounters between student and teacher, and some of them in the classroom, during lunch or after school. And she allegedly told the child how much she enjoyed him touching her and making out. Needless to say, the fiance was a little surprised by these new revelations, and, well, let's just say the wedding is off. That woman needs serious help. We'll give her the presumption of innocence, even though she's all but admitting she did it. She needs some serious help. Maybe a little prison time. I mean, she's a danger to all 11-year-old boys out there. Weird and creepy. I don't care if it's woman or female. Leave the kids alone, for God's sakes. Next, this day in legal history, back on September 13th, 1971, National Guardsmen stormed the Attica Correctional Facility in New York State after a 4-day standoff with rioting prisoners. 32 prisoners and 9 correctional officers died in the final assault. 32 prisoners and 9 correctional officers died in the final assault to retake the prison. And finally, our dumb criminal of the day. Police have arrested the man who they say is the Brooklyn driver who went viral for stealing a tow truck that was about to repossess his truck. Now, according to the NYPD, police arrested 55-year-old Russell Leosa, a man from East Islip, New York, on Monday for allegedly causing chaos on Sunset Park after trying to prevent his truck from being towed away by a tow truck. Our dumb criminal is the guy who went toe-to-toe with the tow truck operator last Friday when he confronted the repo man and ordered him to put his effing truck down before jumping into the tow truck and taking it for a joyride through a Brooklyn neighborhood. Now, the incident caused a significant amount of damages, with the tow truck crashing into multiple cars before the suspect's own truck, remaining tethered to the tow truck, tumbled upside down and off the hook. As you can see, the suspect then abandoned his ride and took off on foot, but authorities apprehended him a few days later and booked him on one count of robbery in the second degree, one count of grand larceny of an auto, and 2 counts of reckless endangerment, and 11 counts of property damage and leaving the scene of the accident. Now, hey, who wouldn't want to try to get your car taken back from the repo guy? But the reality of it is, in this particular case, our dumb criminal of the day could have used his time a little more efficiently. He could have gone to work, maybe worked a little overtime, got caught up, paid for that truck payment so he doesn't get repoed, or at least get it out of repo. Now, instead, he's going to have all that restitution. He's going to have to get himself a lawyer, going to lose his job, and probably go to jail on top of that. That's why, sir, Mr. Leosa, you are our dumb criminal of the day. Congratulations, you made it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next time on Crime Talk. And remember, the Constitution matters.